The last few weeks of June feel ordinary enough. Shelves are stocked. Prices are holding steady for now. But behind that quiet normal, something else is shifting. Supply contracts are ending. Freight costs are climbing. And distributors are making quiet decisions that won't show up on receipts until it's already too late. Some products won't be restocked at all. Others will return with smaller sizes, higher prices, or new ingredients, the kind that stretch a label further but deliver less. And then there are the things we simply take for granted. A jar of oil, a bag of salt, a packet of yeast. Items so familiar they feel permanent, until they're not. June is when warehouses pivot and fiscal years close. It's the moment when food futures become retail reality. And if you know what to watch for, you can stock smart not in fear but in foresight. These aren't panic buys. They're survival basics with silent expiration dates. And if you care about staying ahead, this list might matter more than it seems. Number 1. Butane fuel canisters for portable stoves. They don't sit in the food aisle. You'll usually find them hidden near seasonal camping gear, barbecue supplies, or buried in the back corner of a big box store. Butane fuel canisters don't look like survival gear. Yet in the middle of a blackout, boil advisory, or gas disruption, nothing becomes more important than controlled portable heat. Butane is used to power single-burner stoves, the kind favored by off-grid campers, food vendors, and anyone cooking without electricity. What most shoppers don't realize is that these canisters are one of the first things to vanish during heat waves, blackouts, or natural disasters. And late June is the last dependable moment to find them in full stock. Why now? Because July brings travel surges, fire bans, and weather extremes. Once wildfires spike or storm threats rise, stores shift their inventory, often clearing out camping supplies and replacing them with back-to-school or end-of-summer clearance. If a crisis hits after that, it's already too late. And unlike propane, butane doesn't require heavy tanks or regulators. A single slim canister can power a compact stove for hours, boil drinking water, or cook a full meal. Sealed properly, they have a shelf life of 5 to 10 years. That's not just convenience, it's insurance. The catch? They're temperature sensitive. Butane performs poorly in freezing weather, which is why now, before winter, panic buying sets in is your chance to buy ahead while options are still wide open. Some grocers and hardware stores carry off-brand canisters that may not fit standard stoves, so always match the nozzle type to your equipment. Name brand 8 ounces. Canisters are more universal and stack easily for compact storage. You won't need one every day, but when the lights go out and stovetops go cold, this quiet little cylinder becomes the difference between eating cold beans and cooking a real meal. In June, they're still on the shelf. In July, they'll be the first thing missing. Number 2. Electrolyte powders, without sugar fillers. They don't get the attention of canned goods or bottled water, but in a real survival scenario, electrolyte powders become one of the most quietly crucial items in your kit. When heat surges, illness hits, or clean water is limited, what you drink matters just as much as what you eat. And if you're only storing water without a way to replenish lost minerals, you're not preparing, you're pausing the problem. Electrolyte powders offer concentrated blends of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride, the minerals your body loses through sweat, diarrhea, or prolonged physical stress. Without them, hydration doesn't work. You can drink a gallon of water and still feel dizzy, sluggish, or worse. June is your moment to buy smart. Most brands roll out seasonal pricing spikes in early July as heat waves intensify across the country. That's when high-demand states like Arizona, Texas, and California start seeing shelves thin out, especially for clean label options. The sugar-loaded drink powders often stay in stock, but the ones without added dextrose, artificial dyes, or citric acid, those disappear first. The good news is these powders store exceptionally well. Most come in foil packets or single-serve sticks that remain stable for years when kept cool and dry. Unlike liquid electrolyte drinks, they won't take up fridge space or expire after a few months. Look for brands that list sodium content clearly. That's the first mineral to fall during sweat loss. And avoid anything marked sports drink unless you're okay with sugar. What you want are rehydration formulas, oral rehydration salts, or electrolyte hydration mixes with no more than a handful of ingredients. In a power outage, heat wave, or medical event, these small packets can restore energy, prevent muscle failure, and keep you functional longer than food alone. Most people don't think about electrolytes until they're already lightheaded, but by then the store's out and your body's behind. In June, you're still early. Come July, you'll be catching up. Number 3. Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. Most people don't notice the packaging until it's too late. They stock the beans, the rice, the flour, but overlook the one thing that makes it all last. In long-term food storage, survival isn't just about what you buy, it's how you seal it. Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers aren't glamorous. You won't find them in the weekly flyer or stacked at the end of a grocery aisle, but they're what separates a functional pantry from a failed one. They extend shelf life from months to decades, quietly, chemically, and without electricity. Right now, late June is the window. Stores that carry emergency prep gear or bulk food accessories usually restock for the summer camping season. But once July hits, seasonal resets begin. The shelves that held storage gear fill up with grills, coolers, or school supplies. And if there's even a whisper of disruption, a drought, a shipment delay, a regional crop loss, these simple tools disappear first. A Mylar bag creates a light-proof, moisture-blocking barrier. An oxygen absorber removes the last element spoilage needs to take hold. Together, they protect your dry goods in ways plastic bins and pantry jars never could. Rice, lentils, powdered milk, flour, dehydrated fruit, all of them change the moment air sneaks in. But there's a learning curve. Cheap bags tear, poor seals leak, and oxygen packets must match volume. If the balance is off, your food quietly degrades while you think it's safe. So this isn't just about gear, it's about knowledge. Knowing that storage isn't one size fits all, that sealing food isn't paranoid, it's practical. June is when options are still open. After that, your choices narrow, and you're left with whatever's left behind. These aren't panic buys. They're the tools that make smart storage possible, and when you need them, you won't have time to shop. Number 4. Headlamps or LED lanterns, battery-operated. The lights don't flicker until they do, and when they go out not for minutes but for hours or days, it's not just about darkness, it's about disorientation. You think you'll use candles. You think your phone flashlight will do, but after the second hour of heat, noise, or silence, that plan fades fast. Headlamps and LED lanterns aren't just camping gear. They're functional lighting designed for hands-free survival, and in a blackout, they don't just illuminate, they restore order. You can cook, read, clean, organize, or calm a child without holding a match or draining a screen. Right now, late June is your quiet moment to grab them. Before hurricane forecasts crowd the airwaves, before wildfire maps stretch wide across the West, before one power grid fails and the rest feel the pressure. Retailers know this. That's why summer lighting inventory resets just after the 4th of July. The shelf space that holds headlamps this week might hold bug zappers or back-to-school clocks next week. If you wait until a warning is issued, you'll be standing in line behind everyone else grabbing whatever's left, not what's best. The difference is in the details. A good headlamp sits comfortably. It dims, tilts, lasts for 20-plus hours, and doesn't blind you when you check a pot or read a map. A quality LED lantern lights a full room, not just a corner. The best ones run on common batteries AAA, or rechargeable USB because when the lights go out, proprietary chargers don't help. Most households have flashlights. Few have lighting that can run for days. Even fewer have tried them before they're needed. That's the difference between reaction and readiness. This isn't just about convenience. In a storm, outage, or extended grid loss, light becomes moral. It becomes warmth, routine, stability, especially for kids or elders who rely on rhythm. Right now, the shelves are full. The news is quiet. That's exactly when you move. Because once the storm hits, the power's gone, and the lines form, it's not just the dark you're up against. It's everything that follows. Number 5. Canned full-fat fish, sardines, salmon, or mackerel in oil. Some items in a survival pantry serve a single purpose. This isn't one of them. Canned full-fat fish, especially those packed in olive oil, offer calories, protein, essential fats, and shelf life all in one compact, underrated can. And in times of uncertainty, that kind of nutrient density becomes more than useful, it becomes essential. Late June is a critical window to stock these. Global fish supply chains are already stretched from warming waters, reduced quotas, and rising freight costs. By July, grocers began to reflect new pricing contracts. You'll see it first in seafood, quietly, and then all at once. These aren't your childhood tuna cans. We're talking about sardines, salmon, and mackerel packed in real oil, typically olive or sunflower, not brine or broth. That oil matters. It adds calories and preserves texture. It also acts as a flavor shield, protecting the meat from drying out or going metallic over time. What most shoppers don't realize is that lean, water-packed versions actually have shorter shelf lives. They're more prone to break down and often lose taste and texture within a couple of years. Full-fat, oil-packed varieties? Many last 5 years or more when stored cool and dry. But here's what to watch for: country of origin and can lining. Some budget brands use fish caught in murky regulatory waters or line cans with BPA-based coatings. Look for transparency on sourcing. Wild caught from Canada, Portugal, or Norway tends to be cleaner. And seek BPA-free labeling or products packed in glass jars if available. These cans are compact but dense, rich in omega-3s, shelf-stable protein, and sustaining fat. In crisis scenarios, that balance matters. A few ounces can anchor a meal, stretch rice or pasta, or even be eaten straight if cooking isn't an option. You're not buying luxury. You're buying leverage food that keeps you nourished when the systems around you stall. In late June, shelves are still full. The prices are pre-increase. But by midsummer, you'll see them change. Fewer choices, thinner cuts, higher tags. It's a quiet buy, but in a real pinch, it might be the loudest one in your pantry. Number 6, emergency water pouches or jugs. When most people think about survival, they picture food, canned goods, grains, protein bars, but food can wait, water can't. And yet, it's the one supply most households miscalculate, assuming their tap will run, or a filter will be enough. But in a power outage or contamination event, water is the first thing you need and the fastest to vanish. Emergency water pouches and jugs aren't glamorous. They sit unnoticed on bottom shelves, often near first aid kits or seasonal camping gear. But they're designed with purpose, long shelf life, portable design, and guaranteed safety. Each foil-sealed pouch can last 5 years or more. Pre-filled jugs, when stored in cool, dark places, do the same. Late June is the window. It's when wildfire season quietly intensifies and hurricane prep begins behind the scenes. But stores don't highlight it yet, which means if you're watching closely, you can buy before the headlines hit. Before emergency declarations, empty shelves, and limit purchase quantities. Here's what to know. Single-use pouches are lightweight and rational, ideal for go bags or distributing in a power loss. 5-gallon jugs offer bulk storage for sheltering in place. Both have their place. And neither depend on filters, power, or clean rain to work. But don't wait until August. That's when late summer surges, shipping delays, and emergency weather responses all collide, and the first thing stores limit is water. You can store your own, of course. But bottled water degrades, and many home containers aren't designed for time or heat. These pre-filled pouches and jugs are. They're not heavy, they're not loud. But when water stops flowing, nothing else you've stored will matter more. In June, they're in stock. In July, they're in demand. Number 7, collapsible water storage. 5 7-gallon BPA-free bags or cubes. Most survival plans include water, but few plan for where to put it. When a storm is coming or the power grid wobbles, people rush to fill bathtubs, buckets, or any container they can find. But not all containers are safe, sealable, or smart. That's where collapsible water storage quietly becomes one of the most practical and overlooked essentials you can own. These fold-flat cubes or bags expand to hold 5 to 7 gallons of water each. They're made from food-grade BPA-free plastic, often with spouts or handles for easy pouring. And when not in use, they collapse down to the size of a book, meaning you can store a week's worth of emergency capacity in a single drawer. June is your moment to grab them. Right now, hardware aisles and seasonal end caps still carry them for campers, hikers, and festival goers. But once July begins, those same sections pivot toward school supplies, outdoor clearance, and storm response. And if wildfires, floods, or boil notices hit your region, collapsible jugs are among the first things to disappear. Here's why they matter. Pre-filled water bottles take up space. Bathtubs aren't sterile, and rain barrels, while useful, don't travel. Collapsible containers give you flexibility. You can fill them in minutes, stack them in corners, move them if needed, and empty them just as easily when the emergency passes. But like all gear, not all versions are equal. Look for ones with reinforced seams, tight seals, and materials rated for food and water contact. Cheap bags leak, weak caps break, and once water's on the floor instead of stored, it's no longer useful. This isn't just about survival, it's about dignity, sanitation, and staying ahead. When clean water is scarce, the ability to store your own becomes a quiet kind of freedom. These aren't showpieces. They're tools. And right now, they're still sitting quietly on the shelf. By next month, they might not be. Number 8, vacuum-sealed protein bars. No melt, no dairy. Most protein bars are built for impulse, not endurance. They sit by the register or in gym bags, soft and sweet, promising energy on the go. But in a crisis, that kind of bar turns fragile fast. Heat melts it, dairy spoils it, and added sugars spike your energy only to crash it later. That's where vacuum-sealed protein bars step quietly into their own category, not just as snacks, but as compact, calorie-dense reserves you can trust long after the lights go out. These aren't candy bars in disguise. They're designed for field packs, wilderness kits, and long-haul rations vacuum-sealed to keep air and moisture out, and formulated without chocolate, milk solids, or soy oil coatings. That means no melting, no bloating, and no surprise spoilage in the middle of a heat wave. Late June is when you still have choices. Survival suppliers are stocked. Grocery stores may still carry shelf-stable meal bars near the pharmacy aisle, but once July rolls in and with it, triple-digit heat and supply chain slowdowns, your options thin fast. And here's what most people overlook. Not all protein bars offer real nutrition. Some barely hit 6 grams. Others rely on whey or milk isolates that degrade quickly in storage. For longevity, you want plant-based or egg white formulations, vacuum-sealed and clearly dated. Clean ingredients, dense macronutrients. No fluff. They're not glamorous. They won't trend, but they'll sit, stable and quiet, while everything else gets sticky or soft. When food options dwindle, they'll carry you a little further and without needing prep, water, or refrigeration. In June, they're easy to find. In July, they're gone or melting in a warehouse that can't deliver fast enough. Number 9. Multi-use lighters, windproof, waterproof, or refillable. It's one of the smallest items in a survival plan, and yet it might be the most essential. Fire isn't just warmth, it's light, sterilization, cooking, morale. And in an emergency, the ability to create flame without friction or failure isn't a convenience, it's control. Multi-use lighters, especially windproof, waterproof, or refillable models, are more than tools for lighting a stove. They're one of the few pieces of gear that bridges every category: food, water, heat, and signal. Whether you're boiling water, lighting candles, igniting fuel, or signaling in the dark, you'll need more than matches, you'll need something that works every time. Late June is when these lighters still sit in hardware sections, camping aisles, or tucked beside grills and charcoal, but by July they shift. Wildfire season puts pressure on supply, and stores in high-risk zones restrict or outright stop selling open-flame devices. Even major chains quietly pull stock as burn bans expand. Standard lighters burn fast. Reusables run longer. Arc lighters are rechargeable, but they depend on power. Butane torch models can light wet tinder or stove jets in the wind. The key isn't just what you buy, it's how many ways you can use it. The mistake most people make? Grabbing disposables and assuming they'll work. In heat, humidity, or after weeks in a drawer, those dollar lighters fail more often than they fire. But a well-made stormproof lighter with a fuel window and a solid spark wheel? That holds up under pressure, and when pressure hits, you don't want to gamble. These lighters don't take up space. They don't need batteries. And once you need one, there's no substitute. They're not expensive, not yet. But like everything quiet and useful, they disappear the moment things go loud. In June, they're available. In July, you're too late. The shelves still look normal. The air still feels calm. But by the time July rolls in, the quiet things start shifting. Prices inch upward. Stock rotates. And the items you thought would always be there quietly aren't. This isn't about panic. It's about patterns. The end of June is when supply chains pivot, contracts reset, and inventory narrows. And the difference between reacting and preparing often comes down to one simple thing: timing. The products we've covered aren't luxury. They're leveraged. Tools that keep you steady when power fades, when trucks delay, when systems hiccup for a moment too long. From clean water and fire to shelf-stable calories and real light, these aren't just supplies. They're stable, packed small, because survival doesn't start in a crisis. It starts quietly in grocery aisles, in checkouts, in choices made while things still feel fine. You don't need to rush. You just need to be early. And right now, before this month ends, is the last quiet moment to be ahead of what's next. Subscribe for more real-world prep before the shelf says too late.